Good evening. Welcome to the Celtic Way post-match reaction. Celtic 2, Feyenoord 1. Yes! The old leather belts have won in the Champions League. Get in there. I'm Tony Haggerty at ahaggerty10 on the Twitter handle, X handle. And I'm joined tonight by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley, who's in his car after watching that. How enjoyable was that, Ryan? And to kind of burst into song and verse. Swede dreams are made of this, indeed.
Absolutely.
Did you enjoy that, fella?
Yeah, for a wee bit there, I was lost for words there. I was enjoying what you were saying. I was enjoying your opening monologue to today's show, or tonight's show. It's good to have you back on. Not had you on in a couple of days, so good to have you back back
kind.
home on the podcast.
Yeah,
you're back at a great time as well. You've picked your moment well to go on this week, that is for sure. Celtic have broke their European nightmare in the Champions League. You know, the last time they won a game at home in the Champions League was against one of Feyenoord's greatest rivals in Ajax.
yes,
it was so nice that they had to do it twice, and they beat another Dutch team. You know, they'll need to get PSV next on their list to beat all three of the big teams in Holland. But yeah, absolutely delighted with the way things went tonight. Celtic had to win ugly tonight, which is beautiful in its own sense, because I've been wanting Celtic to win ugly in Europe for so long.
Yep.
It was great that came to fruition. They had to deal with adversity. They conceded a goal, when it looked as if the Feyenoord were getting into the game a bit, but Celtic were having some chances too. But they regrouped. There was some real mammoth performances from players that, first of all, hadn't even played for Celtic before, and players that hadn't played in months due to injury. But they stepped up and they were counted for, and what a moment for Lagerbielke in particular.
Yeah, I think I'll just take this minute or seconds to a Joe Hart, Alistair Johnston, Liam Scales, Stephen Welsh, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and Gustav Lagerbielke appreciation round of applause for them. I think they all deserve a wonderful round of applause for that. And Ryan, see, the galling thing about this is Celtic were only 2 points off third place. That really rankles with me because coulda, woulda, shoulda, I guess it's that, isn't it? But fine margins, as they say, and only really torn apart in Madrid. And we've spoken before about the quality that Brendan Rodgers craved. Had they had those players, then so be it. They might have qualified in third place, but they didn't in the campaign. But great to end the campaign on a high. I have to say, Stephen Welsh was outstanding. For a man who's not played since August, I tip my hat to him, Ryan. What a performance that was. And hopefully, if moments can turn careers, Gustav Lagerbielke coming in at the back post there, just like Tony Boy coming onto the programme on a Champions League win. Finally, timing that run to perfection and just nodding it in from inches out. But yeah, hopefully that leads to bigger and better things from him. You saw how delighted he was with that. There was people in group chats writing him off, saying he was going to leave in January, all that kind of stuff. But I was just genuinely delighted with the way they played. Yep, they rode their luck at times. I think that's payback for the luck that's kicked them in the teeth on many occasions. Worked hard, deserved that. And Matt O'Reilly's just going to go for a Scottish record transfer fee. I'm going to say it right now. I've said it before. I mean,
he's clutch. He's
a clutch
player.
That's set up for Lagerbielke's goal. You could watch that in a loop, and you're hoping that in that instant that this is a turning point in Celtic's season, Ryan. That they now can gain great confidence from that and go on and a big up. Sorry, I just saw the comments here as well. Mitchell Frame when he came on looked good.
That's what I was talking about at the start. Yeah, for making his debut for Celtic, I thought there was a tremendous moment where he just drove forward, and it gave me shades of Tierney the way he was dribbling with the ball. I know that's a very, very difficult player to live up to. You know, arguably one of Celtic's best ever talents to come through the youth academy. But what a player to follow in his footsteps, or a player to strive to be like. And if it shows that there's an option there. There's an option in the academy. He didn't play in the game the B team today, or the under-19s game against Feyenoord. The fact that he wasn't named even on the bench made you think that he was going to get named on the subs bench for tonight's game, for the senior game. He didn't put a foot wrong when he came onto the pitch. There was a point that he wins the ball right at the end of the match, which effectively wins the game for Celtic.
Yep.
That is, you understand the assignment even as a young player, and I love to see that from a young player. You know, you're not trying to be the hero. You know what's best for the team. He would have taken a booking if needed. You know, I know Ben Doak did the same in other games, did that in the Rangers game a couple of years back. But Mitchell Frame wins the ball in the middle of the park, and that's such a big, big relief for the team. And it effectively won Celtic the 3 points that they, you know, probably a draw would have been the sort of right result over the course of the match. Celtic had to ride the luck, but Celtic have played better in games and came away with defeats in the Champions League. So I'm more than happy for karma to sort of swing its way in the positive direction for Celtic tonight, because they deserve it for their endeavours and hard work over the course of the Champions League this campaign. They deserved something, and I'm glad that they finished on 4 points. You know, there's better sides in the Champions League that have finished on less points than 4 in this group stage. So it's definitely something to be not proud of, they've done themselves justice, and it's definitely a launch pad for next season if they can get themselves back into the group stage.
Yeah, use that.
Not the group stage, the Swiss League model, sorry.
Use that as a launch pad to go in next season and be competitive, win the title, go on and win the title and be competitive. And you say there are much better teams than ours with access to untold riches who finish bottom of their groups as well. I'm looking at you, Manchester United and Newcastle, if anyone was in any doubt as to who I'm talking about. So, yeah, it's just give you a wee warm glow, that, hasn't it? And, you know, you look
shot in the arm.
Yeah, shot in the arm. And you just want Celtic to now take that attitude into, you know, domestic games. That's what they have to focus on now. There's a league and a Scottish Cup double to be won. Let's get to work, as the manager would say. Let's get back to business. And that hopefully that has that galvanising effect on everybody. It's a morale boosting win, and then you take that into your domestic forum, Ryan. That's all you can ask.
The mood music has changed. You know, there has been a change in tone of the mood music, as you talk about. It's very important to talk about the mood music as well. Because now all of the players, you know, I don't know if they'll be going into training tomorrow. They might get a day off. Maybe they'll go in for recovery tomorrow, but they'll be going regardless till Lennox Town with a spring in their step, you know, and a renewed sense of confidence. I mean, the manager will feel a renewed sense of confidence, because everybody was down in the dumps after the Kilmarnock game. It was a shocking result on Sunday, but regardless, if it means nothing in the context of the group, it's still 2 million. There's 2.4 million reasons as to why it was a good result tonight.
Sure.
You know, not to sound like a board member either, but and the confidence that the players will feel off of that result will be mammoth. Going into that Hearts game on Saturday, they'll all be buzzing and they'll be ready to go and prove a point in the league. They want to get back to where they belong. They want to make that gap possible once again, and they'll do that by getting a win, hopefully, on Saturday. But a very, very good win to start off things tonight.
And go and have a look at Brendan Rodgers' reaction to Lagerbielke's goal. You'll see how much it meant to him. You'll see how much it meant to the backroom staff. I know how much it meant to the fans, because they were going wild. And you can't beat a late winner. I think you said he was channeling his inner Christopher Julian, was Gustav Lagerbielke, with the last gasp header, stuff like that. But brilliant. Well, listen,
it's all about the cross.
It's the setup that makes it, isn't it? So, yeah, of course, but you've still got to be there. You've still got to be there to put it away, and he was in the right place. So, excellent. Now, don't know what you want to talk about first, Ryan, but hey, we're all just happy that Celtic finally got off the mark and got that win. 4 points, two more points than last season. So I think everybody, as you say, needed that shot in the arm. But there was just so many good things to talk about, wasn't there? You start with the goalkeeper. I thought the goalkeeper made some excellent saves tonight. I think he stood up when he was counted. I was actually disappointed with the goal, the concession of the goal, but Alistair Johnson had tucked in, get attracted to the ball, and Minty was left on his own. And I thought Hart could have saved it, but it was just too near to him, before he could kind of jab out the leg, because I thought, could he got a foot to that? But it was just too close. The guy struck it well, to be honest. But I have to say, he was solid tonight. Big Joey dug him out a hole, and he got that luck when the guy actually hit it all wrong, hit it into the ground, I think, and it kind of went through his arm and came off the inside of the post. But you make your luck, don't you? But a lot of people have criticised Joe of late, and he's deserved that. So I think you've got to big him up and say he did well tonight.
There's one save in particular in the first half where he saves it at point blank range, but he also saves it and takes the sting off of the shot, which then allows the players to clear it rather than it rebounding. How many times have we seen that goal before in Europe where Celtic make an original good save and then the rebound is put in because the save is only parried to an attacker of the opposite team and they're waiting to just pounce and put that into the back of the net. Great saves. I thought he's going off his line was good as well. He read the game well in terms of balls coming towards him. There was one point in particular where I thought it's a certain goal because it went over the top. There was one ball over the top. Could do nothing about the offside goal because I think it's Jimenez rounds the goalkeeper and just puts it in the back of the net. He does look like a good talent, although Celtic Scales and Welsh in particular kept him very, very quiet on the night, which is testament because not a lot of defences have managed to do that over the course of this season. He's been banging them in both in Europe and domestically, so that's a big accolade for those two players to be able to have that on their record. At the moment, I know we were speaking about Joe Hart, but I think it's just as right to go on to the centre backs. Celtic now have so many informed centre backs all of a sudden after tonight's game. Scales, I don't know what happens to Scales in Europe, but he turns into a different animal.
He's a man possessed, yeah.
Measured. Maybe that's because he has more time. Maybe it's because he has less time on the ball rather to think about what he has to do. There might be just more dwelling on the ball in the domestic game, and he struggles with that. But when he has less time to think and his natural instincts come into play, then he seems to be so in control of his game.
Yeah.
And him and Welsh were great foil for each other tonight. They were absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to say this as well. I actually think that that's the best game I've ever seen Welsh play for Celtic. I really do.
I would say so, yeah.
I can't think of a better one. He was excellent. And as I say, for a guy that's been out since August, he just came in and he looked so assured, didn't he? He looked as if he'd never been out the team. Looked as if he'd been playing alongside Scales all season. He was every inch the defender that you wanted Nat Phillips to be at Rugby Park the other day, wasn't he? And he did everything that Nat Phillips clearly didn't do, which is why the manager played. The manager played the surprise card. When everybody saw that team, they were thinking, "Wow, Welsh is in the team." And then the people were writing off Lagerbielke as well, and even he did well when he came on. So happy with that, right? Really happy with that. Yeah. And
although there was a point that I thought that him and Forrest in particular in the second half, not had necessarily sold the jerseys, but they put Celtic into a really perilous position because Forrest, I think, hits it off the Feyenoord player, and Lagerbielke is kind of stuck in two minds because he doesn't want to go for the ball, but he doesn't want to overcommit. But he wants to keep his position as well, but he does want to go for the ball. And it was one of those moments where something could have came about for Feyenoord. Thankfully, it didn't, and Celtic got their just rewards at the end of the game. But
can't call it a dead rubber because they were trying like hell to win the match, and even sent the goalkeeper up at the end, to save the match. So, I mean, Celtic saw it out, and they came to win at Celtic Park, not just to get a draw.
Got to give Arne Slot lots of credit for that because I think bigger, more prestige managers would have seen tonight's game as a dead rubber and put out maybe not put out the reserves, but put out maybe the subs, and maybe they did put out a couple of subs because I noticed they upped a level, went up a couple of levels in the second half when they brought some maybe more of their first team players on, but it was still a strong side that they had out. Number 6 in particular, the guy with the ponytail, who I thought could have been off in the second half.
Should have been off for persistent fouling, to be honest. I mean, he was booked for the incident that led to the penalty kick and then proceeded to foul with impunity and just seemed to be invisible to the referee, despite the fact that I counted about 4 or 5 after that. He had a right nasty boot on McGregor, I think it was. Left the boot in and then he had a nasty boot at somebody else. It might even have been Frame. I'm not sure, but I don't know what the ref was seeing in those situations. But listen, I'm glad that Celtic won because I've been very miffed if a player like him had came and got a result for his team. Just fouling, persistently like that. So, but there you go.
Yeah, I've got to say though, when we're talking about, we've got to call a spade, and I thought Greg Taylor had another very poor performance again tonight. I thought he was very weak on that left-hand side. You seen it at the very start of the second half, and the guy that sits next to me at the games, he said exactly the same thing. Where was the first area that Feyenoord went to at the very start of the second half? It was up to Greg Taylor's side, because they know that is a defensive weakness. He was good under Ange Postecoglou because he was another midfielder under Ange Postecoglou, and he could go into the middle of the park and overflow the midfield and make things happen in a positive sense. When he is playing as a traditional fullback, unfortunately, and it's not his fault that he's just not good enough to play the traditional role. I think Celtic are a left back away from potentially having a really, really good defence, because Johnson is up to his levels. I know he went down a bit in the Kilmarnock game, but he upped it again tonight. It was one of his better performances, definitely his best performance in Europe for Celtic, I would say. I thought he was immense tonight, and especially in the second half, when the game got gritty and he knew what was required of him. He knew he had to get in with tackles. He knew he had to get tight to his man, and he understood the assignment. That is the one phrase I'm going to use a lot tonight. They all understood the assignment that was in front of them, and they all stuck by their tasks. They stuck by their manager, and they got their just rewards at the end by continuing to stick at the game plan. They didn't. There was about 5 minutes at the end where I thought they were teetering a bit, where they were like that Feyenoord could go and sneak this, but they rallied and they showed that character. They didn't show that character at the weekend against Kilmarnock when they conceded a goal. They showed it against Feyenoord. I wish they'd have done it in both games, but if they do it at all, it means they've got it in their system.
Well, the great thing about it is it's there. It's lying dormant, and they brought it out tonight. As you say, didn't show it against Kilmarnock. Bitter disappointment that was, but they could have lost again tonight easily by going into their shell again, but they didn't. And they dredged it out with a quality goal, brilliant goal, well worked. I'm
just people saying in the comments that Taylor was okay. I thought he was okay in the second half, but I think in the first half I thought he was one of the. So was Callum McGregor though. Callum McGregor had one of his worst 45 minutes in a Celtic top. The first 45, managed to rally in the second half a bit and didn't look. Well, I'm not going to say he didn't look as bad. He was definitely better in the second half, but in the first half he was really, really struggling. Don't think he got used to the fact that Iwata got taken off so early in the game. He had to revert back to his number 6 role so quickly.
Which was another downside, wasn't it, that Iwata get taken off? But listen, I thought the team did really well. Yeah, I think the team did really well to get a result. And as you say, it's a shot in the arm. I'm just laughing. Is that your new buzzwords now? Understood the assignment. So do you think they'll understand the assignment on Saturday? And
I think so.
Go out all guns blazing and get those points on the board and make Rangers win their 2 games in hand. Have to win those 2 games in hand. That's all it's about for me. Guys, over 450 people
Incredible numbers
on the live chat. Great. Skin graft will not get the grin off either of our faces at this minute in time. Just great to end a Champions League campaign with a win. It's a wonderful 3 points, 2.4 million quid into the kitty as well, the coffers. It all helps in a performance to make you proud. And, it is a campaign of ifs and buts and maybes, because you've only finished 2 points off a 3rd place, and that's what's galling for me. DB knew. You tell them, Ronnie Cray, he says. Indeed, there you go. And many things. There you go. Just pick MD with specs and I'll probably resemble them. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, you're laughing, Ryan. Yeah, there you go. But no, lots of comments coming in actually. So I've starred a few and we'll get through them, eh? Celt 88, so good to get that the win record off our back. Indeed. Welsh Paul, great night. It was indeed. Stephen comes in. O'Reilly worth a few million, not a few million with that touch. Exquisite touch, absolutely brilliant.
Can we talk about that, please?
You can. Hazel Finn saying the young lad's frame look good, please for him.
Very good.
And Claire Best coming in. Evening, Claire, how you doing? Here's our stat, Tony and Ryan. We finished same points. Man United a point less than Newcastle. They say our league is a farmer's market. Hail, hail, guys. Love the podcast and scream. Also, Lagerbielke. She's a massive fan. Thanks, Claire. Really appreciate the support. You are a regular contributor, so cheers for that. And Thomas Gallagher coming in says he called it right with Welsh starting and he was exceptional. No argument here. Okay, Ryan, talk to me about Matt O'Reilly and his exquisite touch
Matt
for
O'Reilly.
Lagerbielke.
The hand gestures.
The
I'm going to
hand
do the
gestures.
hand gestures because he's just that good. He's I'm trying to remain professional about Matt O'Reilly. He's just so good at football.
You're going to go all Jim White on me with Brian Laudrup? Why are you so good, Matt O'Reilly? Yeah.
That's what he's like. Honestly, it's he's a phenomenal talent that's went up about 5 or 6 gears under Brendan Rodgers this season. He's been one of the most consistent players. So much so that when he does have his off game or two, it's very, very noticeable. And I thought towards the end of the game, he was tiring out because he started to drift out wide. I was like, you don't want to go in the middle here anymore because you're a bit tired. He managed to find himself in a great opportunity, a great space. And he had that opportunity before. The Cal McGregor, was it to Matt O'Reilly? Cal McGregor tried to play the short corner pass through.
Yeah.
And he puts too much pace on it. That's something that Cal McGregor should be doing in his sleep. But thankfully, he got that second opportunity to do so in that position. Matt O'Reilly, what a ball in! It's right on the button, right on the button of Lagerbielke's head.
You can't miss, can you?
Trust me, I think you can miss from that. I've seen it before, but thank goodness that he didn't. It would have just been Celtic's luck in Europe to miss that. But I'm just glad that they got that slice of luck that their performance, deserved. They hung in there towards the end and they got their chance.
It just shows you how programmed I am. I was waiting for the flag to go up. I was waiting on VAR to get involved, and even when the fan came on and he was celebrating with Lagerbielke, I was thinking, this better be a goal because that fan will feel so stupid and so will Lagerbielke. But it was excellent. It's tremendous.
That's a point that I think needs to get made as well. And this is a bit of a sour note on what has been a great night. And Brendan, I don't know if the cameras picked it up, but Brendan Rodgers was absolutely fuming at the fans coming onto the pitch. There was a job to do. Celtic had to hang on.
Yeah.
And there was at least half a dozen fans on the park. Now, this cannot go on at Celtic Park. This, regardless of what age you are coming onto the pitch, the players have got a duty to do on the pitch. The fans have also got a duty to behave themselves off the pitch, and that could have easily resulted, and it could have resulted in absolutely anything. I know it's just playful people running onto the park, but what if it isn't in one situation? I'm sorry to bring the tone down a bit and make it a bit more serious. I just think there's far too many fans coming onto the pitch when it could cause potential harm. I think it probably needs to get stewarded better as well.
Yeah, of course.
But I think fans need to behave themselves, and it will be another fine. It's the 2.4 million. Celtic will probably get fined some of that. They won't get the full 2.4 million because some of that will be taken off because of their.
I can understand.
I
can understand the hijinks and exuberance because it's supposedly a late winner, but there was still a good 4-5 minutes of injury time to go when Celtic scored that goal. So I can understand the manager being annoyed at that, but I think there's security issues there, and fans seem to be breaching these security measures pretty easily. So I think it's something that has to be tightened up because it's not a good look. That's all we'll say. TJ Lindy thought Welsh done great, all things considering. He most certainly did. Welsh Paul Scales were outstanding. Hart also great saves indeed. Francis Leicester, come on, what a debut, young frame. Matt O'Reilly superb, and at last, big Lagerbielke. Yep. David Haston, great result. One game at a time. Correct. It is one game at a time. Thomas Burns, famous name. Well done, Celtic. Fantastic win. Showed great character. TJ Lindy come back in. Glad to see a young lad getting a taste of a start for Celtic. Correct. And Francis Leicester thought big skills was immense again tonight. KP Boy, well done, Celtic. And Hazel Finn saying, don't know about the team, but it's given her a huge lift, much needed after the weekend. Well done. Phil Dermot McDonald, brilliant to shut a few mouths. Yep, if that's the way you want to take it, Phil, no worries. Gary Patterson, Joe Hart had a good game, he most certainly did. And Kaiser, yes, legends, needed that. So emphasis on the yes. And Alex Duffy comes in and says, Big Welsh did well, considering he hasn't played. Scales and AJ, brilliant. Hart like a man possessed, brilliant. Come on, you boys in green. So lots of happy campers tonight, Ryan, in the chat.
Yeah.
And as I say, we're edging towards 5 500 people in the live chat, which is just outstanding, really.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Do you want to hear some stats? Do you want to hear some stats
go on then,
on the BBC tonight with regard to
stats?
So did you know that this is just to put it into perspective tonight? Feyenoord attempted 19 shots in this match, their most on record from 2003 to 2004 in a Champions League game. So it shows that they had a lot of chances, that Celtic stayed resolute. And it's really a lot of credit has to go to Scales and Welsh for only limiting them to the one goal. And Lagerbielke when he came on as well, because he won a couple of headers. Celtic picked up their first win in 16 Champions League matches. They've drawn 3 and lost 12 since their last win, since a 3-0 victory at Anderlecht in September 2017. And the first and 13 at home, they've drawn 3 and lost 9 since beating Ajax 2-1 on October 2015. If you're going to do it against any team, do it against the Dutch team, as it's shown. We did it against Ajax. Celtic did it against Ajax in the last game, and then they've done it against one of their rivals in Feyenoord too. Feyenoord have lost each of their last 8 Champions League away games, where they conceded a 90th minute winning goal home and away in the competition, thrown at a second time. The other coming against Newcastle in November 2002. And Celtic scored a 90th minute winning goal in the Champions League for the 4th time. This was the first time since October 2012 against Spartak Moscow. So some really interesting stat lines from tonight. But I think one of the most important stat lines is that one in the top left-hand corner at the end of the game, and it was Celtic 2, Feyenoord 1. Just a big shot in the arm for Celtic in Europe and for going forward domestically this season.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's the Celtic you were hoping would turn up in these Champions League games. They did in the first half against Atletico Madrid. They did it for parts of the home game against Lazio. And you look at those games, and that's ultimately not taking points in those games that have cost you third place, at least in the group, isn't it? And you look back and you think, some fine margins there, but just great to end it on a high, and great for the players to experience that and now kick on. I think it's important that they kick on now and really set about domestic opposition. They've had their kind of downtime. They had their downtime against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park the other day when they took a 1-0 winning position and turned it into a 2-1 defeat. They had their downtime in the first half against St Johnstone at McDermott Park, where the manager had to get involved and read them the riot act. So when you're capable of that, that's what's frustrating when you're watching Celtic, because you know the heights that they can get to and they can hit. And even with players missing, that's with a lot of your key and influential players missing. And it was a bit of a makeshift side eventually tonight as well, because Iwata goes off, Scales comes in. Sorry, not Scales, Welsh comes in. So I was chuffed to bits about a lot of what happened and what went on tonight. And, so long may that continue. Take the confidence from that, guys, and stroll on, I think, would be my message.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be a launch pad for the rest of the season. Although there's no more European games until hopefully next season when Celtic are back in the Champions League for that new Swiss model. It's the last ever group stage game. What a way to go out in the last ever group stage game and go and finish it with a win. Starters, you mean to go on with regard to the Swiss League, going into that with a bit of confidence, knowing that Celtic had won their last European game whenever they go into the Champions League next. Hopefully that's next season by way of a league win. But what a launch pad it will be for Celtic going forward. I think you will definitely see the difference in the crowd, first of all, on Saturday. We also see it from the players. They'll definitely be exuding a lot of confidence at Lennoxtown over the next couple of days, and they'll all be raring to go ahead of Saturday's game.
I think you'll find that those injuries might clear up a bit quicker, Ryan. Because guys will want to be involved now. After that, the euphoria from that and the excitement from that. TJ Lindy, Lager liked my Insta. He's starstruck. He must have put something on Instagram. And your man's
Underworld came on when he scored as well, so that was good continuity.
Shouting Lager, Lager, Lager. Great performance tonight. Yeah. Excellent. Maestro 95, El Capitan. McGregor was a heartbeat. He's saying. Callum McDougall, Celtic showed the fight and wanted it more and seen it out. Well done, Celtic. We've not been able to say that many times about Celtic in the Champions League, but they did see it out. Chilpil Welsh was brilliant as well. He certainly was. Brian Weldon, evening Brian, brilliant cross by Matt. Lagerbielke didn't have to move straight in the net. At last, Celtic win at home in the Champions League. Hail the boys. Dennis Jameson, regular contributor. Dennis, how you doing, sir? Great to see young frame. No fear, he did well when he came on. That's exactly what he came on and just showed no fear, which was brilliant to see. And as you said, Ryan, he understood the assignment, didn't he? He knew what he was on to do. Helen McCallum, Gustav buying lagers all round, most certainly is, if he's allowed.
The Barton of Barrafield.
If he's allowed, yes, indeed. And Francis Lester, getting back to your point about the fans storming the Bastille, what the hell are the stewards getting paid for? Correct. And Claire Best coming in saying, well said, Ryan, because that needs to be highlighted. Well done for pinpointing that about the fans. So, yep, we don't condone that kind of behaviour, do we? Because they'll end up with another UEFA fine, sadly. Thank goodness Celtic got the win. It makes everybody believe in themselves again. It most certainly does. Doogie Boy saying that's a team without Callum Carter-Vickers, Abada, Maeda and Rio Hatate. Guy, comments are coming in all over the place. As I say, over 450 people watching us live, so thank you, appreciate it, troops. I hope you're enjoying your night as much as myself and Ryan being able to come on here and broadcast and discuss it in great detail. Now, a lot's been mentioned about Kyogo. How do you think he did, Ryan? I thought he did well tonight, to be fair, before he got taken off.
Yeah, I thought he's running. His running off the ball was quite good on the night. A couple of really good moments where it looked as if he was going to get through on goal, but it didn't really work out for him. Thought O was a good presence as well when he came onto the park. I don't know what the foul was given. I've only seen it once, but it did not look like a foul on that defender. When he seemed to win the ball.
Yeah.
And the thing that baffled me as well was the fact that why didn't the referee allow it to go on, and then if it was a foul, then go back and check through
Correct.
VAR? Is that not what VAR is there for, to potentially spot these incidents when they happen? But yeah, it's all elementary at the end of the day,
Yes.
because Celtic got the win. But I thought that Celtic could have been even more comfortable, to be honest, with those chances, because he was right through.
Yeah, I thought Kyogo did well. He was making those runs. He was getting found. He missed a chance first half when Kyogo of old, or a more confident Kyogo, would have battered into net, but I think he choked into the ground a wee bit. Keeper made an easy save, but he was still making the runs and still getting found and still a willing runner. So I guess it's like everything else. He just needs a goal to lift his confidence levels again, doesn't he? I've got to be honest, but it will come. Too good a player for it not to come. Brian
He's one
McGarry,
of these players that I would persevere with him on Saturday. He's a player that Hearts won't want to come up against.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Brian, sorry, I think Kyogo's confidence is shattered a wee bit. A couple of goals and he'll be flying. That's exactly what I think about 1967. Kyogo was shocking. He didn't run. I watched him for 30 minutes, walked about with his head down, not interested. Totally disagree with that. 1967.
I agree with that. I disagree with that as well.
He was a willing runner. He was making the runs all the time. He was getting involved. He was trying to link up. We're all entitled to our
Striker's
opinion.
as good as his service.
Yeah, we're all entitled to our opinion, but that's not the Kyogo I watched tonight. So we'll agree to disagree on that one. But there you go. So Stephen Mitzi, nonsense. Kyogo didn't stop running. Yes, that's the Kyogo I watched tonight. And Claire Best coming back in and saying, how the hell the number 8 never gets sent off beyond me. Mizuki's shocking, and Kyogo should have had a penalty as well. He should have had a penalty actually because he was strangled when he went down very early, and the ref ignored it, but then gave the penalty for a similar incident involving Scales, wasn't it? Was it Scales or Welsh?
Yeah.
Scales, wasn't it?
I think it was Scales, yeah.
Scales, yeah. Scales.
It was, it was so enlightening to see that penalty given, because it took me back to over 10 years ago, or just under 10 years ago. Maybe it's just over 10 years ago now. The years desert me, but remember Juventus?
That was a Juventus game, 2003,
Stefan
20 years ago.
No,
you're talking about 10 years ago, right? The other one?
Yeah.
Well, see the full three game. The full 3 games, Celtic were awarded a penalty, and the referee had warned the Juventus defender. I'll give a penalty if you do that again. And the corner came over and he did it again. And Celtic were awarded a penalty and he couldn't understand. But the referee said, I warned you. So it reminded me of that game. Are you talking about the other Juventus game with Lichtsteiner, did you say? Yeah.
Lichtsteiner, yeah, it was Conte's team. Was it Effie Ambrose that was there was that famous picture on the
Yeah,
box?
yeah.
Just him that's not getting marked. That was a disappointing night. But that was one that Celtic could have easily got a penalty.
Yeah, the time Neil Lennon described it as WWF, didn't he? Or WWE.
Yeah, I think he would have got his organisations. He was right at one point with the WWF, the WWE now. It was like wrestling in the box, but I'm just glad that got punished tonight, and rightly so, because the player was warned a couple of times, and then he persisted in doing it, and he got punished for it. So I'm fine with that as long as it's consistent refereeing.
Yeah, correct. Now 1967, Doc comes back in. So if you run about, you're playing well. No, you're not listening. 1967, Doc. I said he was running about, making those runs, being found, linking up the play, missed a couple of chances, but still getting in there. Their standards have way dropped. He was the worst man in the park by a country mile. I think, judging by the other commenters and myself and Ryan, 1967, Doc, you are very much in the minority here. But you're entitled to your opinion, and I'll flick your comment up because you certainly disagree. You thought Kyogo was the worst man on the park. Again, I'll get back to it, Ryan. I disagree with that strongly. Strongly disagree with that. There you go.
Always make the point that a striker's only as good as his service that he receives. Yeah. I thought in the moments that Kyogo was through, he looked dangerous. Unfortunately, those points were few and far between. It's maybe something that Celtic can work on ahead of next season, getting Kyogo more involved in the striking play, not involved in the play, because I know you don't want him playing as that deep line playmaker.
I want him involved as a striker. Yeah, correct. I still do. And I'm the first to say he was negated in games if he doesn't do anything. But I thought he did a lot of running tonight, and he saw a lot of ball, and he did well. I thought he played well. So, but hey. There you go. Magoo 50 coming in as well. I'm saying he agrees with 1967. He thought Kyogo was bad as well. Well, we all see it in different ways, don't we? That's fair enough. It's a game of opinions, isn't it, Ryan? None are right. Well, I'm saying none are right, none are wrong. There's no wrong opinion. Let's put it that way. It's opinion. And Claire Best comes back and says, disagree. We Kyogo got a few chances. And as I said, should have had a penalty. He will come on from tonight. 8 out of 10 for me in the star rating. She's given 8 out of 10. If she was giving them man by mans, Claire's given Kyogo an 8 out of 10. Ryan, do you agree with that assessment?
That's the case. If that's the case, then Stephen Welsh should have been a 9 or a 10 out of 10 tonight. Same for Liam Scales. Liam Scales was awarded the Man of the Match award from Celtic. I think the only reason he was given the Man of the Match award was because he stayed on the pitch for the 90 minutes. If Stephen Welsh had stayed on the pitch,
he would have been maybe
that's the Coatbridge bias, because I know that Stephen Welsh is from Coatbridge, much like myself. But
that's what it is then, isn't it? That's what it is.
I thought he was tremendous. I thought both were tremendous tonight, especially for a partnership that hadn't been seen in a few years, to be honest, between the two of them. For it to look so fluid and so organic was very, very pleasing on the eye. I thought in particular, I thought Welsh's distribution was good on the ball as well. Scales' distribution is always good in Europe, it seems. Seems as if he's got less time to think about what he's doing, which is probably for the better of his game. But I think Welsh is quite a good distributor of the ball. He wants to play it forward. He wants to play it with a bit of speed as well, which is good. And I thought it was a really, really good performance. Welsh, definitely something that he can build on.
He had a wonderful challenge on someone in the second. I think it was a Feyenoord captain who was running straight through, and he just took the ball right off, slid in, took the ball off. It was just a brilliantly timed challenge, and I was just like, that's the Stephen Welsh that I know and love. As I say, I thought it was his best game in a Celtic jersey ever. People can argue the toss on that, but I thought he was outstanding, really excellent. As I say, for somebody that hasn't played since August, and he would have got the man in the match if he stayed on for the full 90. It would have been a toss-up between him and Scales, but I'd have certainly given it to Welsh, I think.
Yeah, I've just realised I've been sitting in the dark, and I realised that I can put my brightness up on my screen, so it might look as a wee bit better. It might look as if I'm telling ghost stories in the back of my car, but at least you guys can actually see my face now. Now, for better or for worse, you can see what I'm saying and a bit more clearly. But yeah, very. It's all positives here. You know, it's the shot in the arm that Celtic needed with regard to Europe this season. Good to do it in the final day. Even though it doesn't really mean anything in the context of the group, it just looks better as well. You know, 4 points. It's obvious, but 4 points looks a whole lot better than finishing it with just a solitary point. It's double the points that Celtic got last season in the Champions League. Now, stats don't lie in that regard.
It's the optics of it all, isn't it? It's a better optic, isn't it, when you look at it? So, as I say, can you imagine it was a final day shootout with Feyenoord? The place would have been hopping and bopping at a result like that, wouldn't it? You know, for
that is a dead rubber.
place,
I mean, how amazing would it have been if there was something at
that's
stake?
What I mean.
Third place at stake, yeah, absolutely.
It would have been, they've been absolutely magnificent. But yeah,
I see a couple of people in the comments saying that the atmosphere wasn't great. It certainly felt different, in at least in the stadium. Everybody seemed up for it, even although there was the obvious absence of the boys in the Green Brigade. I thought the crowd were very united towards the team. They were responding to a lot of the defensive work that the team were doing. They certainly celebrated when Palmer's penalty hit the back of the net. And then the place went absolutely ballistic when Lagerbielke put in the winner. And that's all you can ask for, really.
That's another thing. He's taken 2 penalties and put them down the middle now, hasn't he?
He's listened to you.
Yeah, well, he's buried it for a start, and no nonsense run up. But he now has to change it, doesn't he? Because he's gone down the middle twice. Anybody watching will be thinking, oh, so pick a corner next time and just stroke it away with confidence the way you did the last 2 penalties. But delighted with these penalty taking. So yeah, but Welsh Paul saying the atmosphere sounded good in the telly. I have to say, I watched it in the television and it sounded great to me. So yeah. Take your point, you were there, so you'll know better than most. So I think the atmosphere will be ratcheted up a notch if the Green Brigade and the boys are welcomed back for a certain game of association football that's taking place on December the 30th. I would like to think all of branches or people will get round the table to make that happen. So, yeah. Joseph Agnew, hail, Tony and Ryan. Totally agree that Welsh was brilliant for the first game for a long time. I think best Welsh performance since he got games for Celtic. Yeah, I have to say, I can't remember him being better in a Celtic jersey. I could be
Showed the maturity tonight.
You stand corrected on that by anybody that's willing to tell me, but I really loved what he brought to the table tonight. And looked like he just fitted in seamlessly. It just looked as if he'd been playing there with Scales all season. So I was chuffed at that, because when you saw that team, he was the surprise inclusion, wasn't he? And you thought, okay, this could go badly, alright, especially when Jimenez that has scored in nearly all of Feyenoord's games this season. They were bigging him up. So, but listen, I thought Welsh was outstanding, and as you say, would have got. Here's Claire's official marks out of 10 for them all. Ryan Hart 8 out of 10, Johnson 8 out of 10, Scales 9 out of 10, Welsh if he stayed on 9 out of 10, O'Reilly 9 out of 10, Calmack 8, Palmer 7, Taylor 7, Kyogo 8. Hail, guys. Time for bed for me now. Ryan, safe journey home. Good night, guys. Cheers, Tony. Cheers for that, Claire. Appreciate that. If we'd have been doing the man-by-man player ratings that we usually do, Ryan, we probably have went to that for some help and guidance.
One job done.
One job less.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, copy paste indeed. The next time, Claire, if you give us 30 words on each player, that would help, and it would be a real copy paste job. But there you go. Love it seeing coming in. Celtic at heart showed in Welsh's display. It most certainly did. That I thought Celtic were excellent tonight. They deserved to finish on a high for the way they played, and so excellent. Chuffed at that. Anything else you noticed, Ryan, from being there?
there was a togetherness about the crowd, to be honest, tonight. I know that a lot of people are disappointed with Sunday, myself included, yourself included too, but there was a togetherness in the crowd. There was a willingness for Celtic to end this, what has been a largely dismal European campaign, on a high, and they did that. So there was everybody was playing, everybody was on the same. They were all singing from the same hymn sheet tonight, and it was good to see that from the crowd to the players to the manager, and they deserved their applaud off the pitch when they got it, because they stuck to their task, they stuck to their guns, and they got what they deserved.
So if they're understanding the assignment, Ryan, surely they're singing from the same spreadsheet.
Yes, absolutely.
See what I did there? Yeah.
Yes, I did. I think he's. I like that, Tony. I like that. Sharp, even at 11:25.
I think it makes sense in my head. There you go. Now Graham Martin comes in. Now we carry this performance on. That's exactly what Celtic need to do on Saturday. There can't be a tapering off, Ryan. They need to keep up this intensity. That's what I liked about Celtic tonight. There was an intensity about them. There was an attacking with purpose, and they got their just rewards because they kept at it, even when they had the setback of the goal. He still managed to grind it out and go up the park and, score the winner and fashion out a lovely winner as well. A cracking winner. And delighted for Lagerbielke. As I say, I hope he can now relax on it and be the player that we hope everybody thinks he can be and come into that defence. But again, he's going to have to compete with Cameron Carter-Vickers, Scales, now Welsh has thrown himself into the equation, hasn't he? But I'm liking that competition for places. Guys know that if they're coming in, they're having to perform and have to do well in order to stay in the team.
Getting Navrowski in there as well, that's waiting to get his opportunity in the first team. I wonder if it's the last time we'll see Nat Phillips, to be perfectly honest with you.
It probably will be. I think he's going to be recalled,
which is fine.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it sounds. I think he's not the only Liverpool player that's going to get recalled. I think that Williams is getting recalled from Aberdeen. He hasn't even played any minutes for Aberdeen since making that move. I forgot he even moved up there. But yeah, Nat Phillips has had more minutes than him. But yeah, it just hasn't. It was a good emergency loan for what it was. But I think the emergence of Scales has really surprised everybody. And for that reason, it doesn't need to be extended in the summer. Until the summer, rather.
Craig McMeekin coming in, thought there was a real maturity in Celtic's play. Thought so too. And he comes back in and says Celtic played through the lines the way Rodgers wants. Thought they did that as well, and they did that very well and got joy from it. Another player who has had starts but still doesn't cover himself in any glory is Mikey Johnston, Ryan.
Nah.
It's not happening, is it?
It's not, unfortunately. And there was a couple of good moments where he made some good runs, but there was a point where he put the ball into the box, and it was a really, really good delivery. I think that was him anyway that put that ball.
Yeah, there was one good delivery, and I think Palmer's shot was hit by the goalkeeper's foot.
It's all these moments. It's not, and that's just the story of Mikey Johnston's Celtic career. Unfortunately, it's all moments. It's all these moments that you can look back to. It's never anything consistent. He never keeps it going for 2-3 games at a time. It's not that he hasn't been given chances. He started a European game tonight. You can't think of a bigger chance that he could get than a European night at Celtic Park. But it's one of these ones. I don't think he was the worst player on the pitch, not by a long shot, but he didn't really take his chance either. But you can say the same for Palmer. Apart from Palmer's penalty, didn't really do much either. So I think most of the wide players in the game, apart from Alistair Johnston, were quite poor, to be honest, on the night. I know Greg Taylor managed to turn it around a bit in the second half, but yeah, I think out of the 4 wide players, Alistair Johnston was the pick of the bunch for me.
Yeah, I thought Alistair Johnston defended well and attacked well too, but he had a couple of great blocks. Did follow the ball into a bit of ball watching, which led to the concession of the equaliser, but still he made up for it with a tremendous block after that. And yeah, he was excellent again tonight. So yeah, if you're going to pick out or nitpick, then you're going to have to big them up for the things that they did right. That's nearly 50 minutes, Ryan.
I think that's
over 450 people were watching at one point. In fact, it was going up to 500 at one point, and 400 people still joining us. And it's 11:30 at night, guys. Can't thank you enough. Our thoughts on your contribution and your continued subscription. We thank you dearly for that. And if you don't subscribe, then why not hit that subscribe button? Costs you £4 for 4 months for everything that's written on the website, or £18 for a yearly subscription. Just hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. It helps us provide these videos for free. Isn't that right, Ryan?
Absolutely. We can't continue to do these free videos. They're all completely free. We can't continue to do them without the support of the subscriptions on the website. Also helps subscribing to the YouTube channel as well, which we have noticed has again been growing, perhaps due to the fact that Hamish has joined the channel as well. So we thank all the new people that have joined, maybe that have only listened to the Celtic Way for a couple of times, that came in purely because of Hamish. If that's the case, then welcome to the channel. He'll be back tomorrow morning to discuss the game in even more detail with myself tomorrow morning. So I'll be going off this, going to sleep, and then back up to talk about Celtic again. Probably be dreaming about Celtic, but it's sweet dreams, as we say in the
sweet
tagline.
Dreams are made of this, indeed. I'll be back on Friday, guys. I've had a few days off. The old December, use them or lose them, Ryan. Isn't that right? And
absolutely.
So I decided to use them, but I will be back on Friday on the morning briefing. But thought I would help my mucker out tonight because we wanted to talk about this, didn't we, Ryan? We had a good feeling about it, didn't we? We felt
absolutely, and you've got to discuss these moments when they happen, especially because they're so rare in Europe for Celtic. Yeah. They've been so unlucky in some games. I know we bigged up the Atletico Madrid win, or the Atletico Madrid draw. That felt like a win on the night due to the opposition they were playing against. But yeah, it's a win in Europe, first win since 2017 in the Champions League. You've got to talk about it and praise it. You call the praise when it's deserved and criticise when it's deserved as well. But it's been a good night for Celtic and a good night for Brendan Rodgers. He'll be feeling a lot better. He's third win in the Champions League after Anderlecht, and it was Ludogorets with Liverpool in 2015.
Yeah. Correct. Heard that on the channel tonight as well when I was watching, so good on you. Ryan, you get yourself home, sir, because you're up early again to do it all tomorrow. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Guys, thanks for joining in. As I say, we can't do it without you. Thanks for your comments. It's always result dependent, but we go to bed with a smile on our face tonight, don't we? Can't beat it.
Absolutely.
Celtic 2, Feyenoord 1. Dilly ding, dilly dong. We got a Champions League win, as the great Claudio Ranieri might have said. Indeed, there you go. Great show, boys. Sons of Scotland. See you in the morning. Cheers, guys. Cheers to everybody who joined us tonight. Onwards and upwards, Ryan. Let's do it.
Absolutely. But definitely a good feeling tonight, that's for sure.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.